Welcome back to Growth Catalyst Hub. Welcome back to this episode of Growth Catalyst Hub. We are going to see how to speak powerfully. I'm going to share a 7-step process, all 7 connected steps, a very simple process which will ensure that whenever you speak very, very powerfully. Let's jump in and see what the process is. I'm going to share a simple framework, and I call that framework as Speak It. Very, very simple framework. It starts with speak, SPEAK, and ends with IT, speak it. Very easy to remember, but when you speak it and use a framework, it becomes very, very easy for you to speak and very, very powerful also. So what is that framework? Let's jump in and see the framework. I start with S for speak, yes, which is all about shaping the reality with your words. Shape the reality with your words. Next letter, P, positives over negatives. Let me re-emphasize, positive over negatives. Third letter, E, express bold declarations. A, avoid limiting language. Avoid limiting language. Keep your confidence shining through. K, for keep your confidence shining through, even if it is your opinion. I, for identify and reframe the labels that you use. Identify and reframe the labels that you use. And finally, T, for tapping into limitless potential. Let me repeat, T, for tapping into limitless potential. Let's jump in and see what these letters and words and this framework stands for. Let's start with the letter S, shape your reality with words. Very difficult to believe this, except for the fact that neuro-linguistic programming is a very, very widely accepted science today. It says that you shape your reality with your words, and whatever you speak regularly, whatever you speak on a continuous basis, you tend to start believing it, and your subconscious starts working on it, and the reality gets shaped. If you're a negative person, if you often talk about, oh, I can't do this, oh, I'm not able to do this, your reality is shaped because your subconscious sees you as a negative person. Your words are interpreted literally, but you are by your subconscious, and the subconscious ensures that whatever you are talking about, however you are talking about, happens in reality. For example, Jeff Bezos is very, very famous for ensuring that he uses the words very carefully. Many, many times he emphasizes that the words like opportunity are used rather than the words like challenges. Challenge in a different dimension is an opportunity. So why not use the word opportunity, which is a lot more positive word compared to challenge, which has a negative connotation to it. So when you start looking at your words and give it a spin, a positive spin, you are giving the words a positive spin, but these words have the power to shape your reality. So that is what you need to remember. That is why you need to keep that positive spin in place. That is why you need to remember this first step, which is all about shaping the reality with words. Next letter, P. P is all about positives over negatives. There will always be challenging situations. There will always be failures which will happen. If you accept them as they are, then you're done. Nothing more to be done there. But if you take them as stepping stones, if you look at what now you need to do, then the beginning of the next step actually sprouts there. That is what I mean by positives over negatives. For example, if you are facing a business challenge and you say that, okay, this is done, yaar, I'm done, I'm finished. You are finished. Nothing more to it. But suppose you say that, okay, how do I solve this? What are the possibilities that I can see from here? Now that this door is closing, what is a window that is opening somewhere else? How do I look for it? Now that this is a reality, it could be COVID and your business is shutting down. It could be some government regulation which is making it impossible for you to continue your business. It could be some people leaving you and therefore you are not able to continue. It could be whatever the challenge is, whatever the situation is. What is it that you have to do now, given that you are in this situation? For example, in the novel and the famous movie, The Martian, where Matt Damon is stranded in Mars. He's stranded in Mars. And the next mission is going to be 4 years down the line, is going to be happening at a particular place. The challenge is how he's going to live till that time. The challenge is how he is going to reach that place where the next mission is going to happen with a tiny vehicle at his disposal. So what does he do? I mean, he can despair and he can give up. Or as Matt Damon calls out, I'm going to science the shit out of this problem. You can take that attitude. And many times, sciencing the shit out of the problem, looking at and finding that opportunity out of those problems, finding out alternatives out of those challenges are the ones which are going to propel you. So when you tell yourself that there is a challenge, I don't know what to do, versus great opportunity, I'm going to find out what that opportunity is, then you are positioning yourself very, very differently. And that is, my friends, P over N, positives over negatives. The E in Speak is all about expressing bold declarations, expressing your intentions boldly to the world, and ensuring that the entire world is your accountability partner. For example, if John F. Kennedy, the then president of US, had said that we will try and put people on the moon, he would have only tried and maybe he would have failed. But he said, I'm going to put people on the moon and we are going to do it and we are going to get this done. And they knew that they were running behind Russia. They knew that Sputnik was far ahead of their game at that point in time. Yet they declared that they are going to put a person on the moon. That bold declaration completely changed the game for America. That declaration, the boldness of the declaration, the boldness of the intention, the calling out of that the intention ensured that people rallied behind that almost as a war cry and went behind and ensured that those statements came true. So it's when you say I will try, it may be a mark of humility. Maybe you are not sure and therefore you want to safeguard your bets. But whatever it is, when you say you will try, your subconscious will also go only as far as trying. But when you say that I'm going to get this done, and when you declare it boldly, you take the next step, and your subconscious also takes the next step in making that happen. The A in a speak is all about avoiding negative language. It's not only important to speak positive language, but also to ensure that you avoid the negatives because the mind has a habit of going after the negative language. You see so much of news, it is negative because simple. The negatives have the greater power of focusing the attention compared to positives. So many millions of people are living happily in this planet. So many people are going about their day-to-day routines in this planet. But yet, those few cases where unfortunate things happen, bad things happen, are the ones which hog the limelight of the day. So much so that, there are newspapers specifically devoted to positive news because in any newspaper, in any news channel, there is so much of positive of good news, positive news. It's not as if good news, positive news don't happen, but they don't hog the same limelight, don't hog the same amount of view time as a negative one does. That is because the negative ones have the ability to get your concentration, get your attention immediately. That is why in your speech, in your way of communication, when you are speaking to somebody, when you are talking to yourself, please avoid any negative news. Please avoid any negative language. People say that, I can never do that. Don't ever say that. For example, Roger Bannister broke that 4-minute mile barrier way back. Till the time, nobody has run 1 mile under 4 minutes. But after he broke, immediately after he broke, so many people could run. Why? People don't know what their potential is. People have no idea what their potential is. And when you keep on saying, I cannot do that, I will not be able to do that, it is impossible for me, you are actually limiting yourself into a box where your subconscious accepts that your potential is so very limited. Even for Hanuman, before he jumped to Sri Lanka, somebody like Jambavan had to come and tell him that, hey, you can do it. He had no idea about his limitless potential. And all of us, in some way or the other, are Hanumans. We have no idea about what we are capable of. And unless somebody comes and tells us, we are not going to discover that. It is important for us to not get boxed into that limiting of potential. It is important that we are always keeping our possibilities open. So, A, for avoid negative words in your language as much as possible. K, for keep your confidence. Whether is the facts and figures that you quote, and many often, more often than not, is the opinions that you express in meetings. For example, Steve Jobs never ever doubted his point of view. I mean, many people doubted his point of view. Many people doubted whether he would be able to lead. Many people doubted his line of products when he started putting them out in the market. He never doubted himself. So the power of conviction has to shine through when you speak out in any meeting, any discussion. There are areas where you need to doubt yourself when you don't have enough facts and figures, when you are in the process of analyzing, when you are in the process of assimilating. And there's no point being supremely confident of yourself without having the facts and figures at your disposal. But once you have analyzed, once you have taken a call, once you have formed a point of view, it is important to have confidence in that point of view and express it as such. If you keep saying that I may be wrong, but this is my point of view in every single meeting, people are not going to take you seriously. You should remember that. So for people to take you seriously, for you yourself to take you yourself seriously, have supreme confidence in your point of view. Of course, the point of view has to be arrived at after due diligence, understanding, analysis. But once you've formed the point of view, have confidence in yourself and your point of view. The I in the SPEAKIT framework is all about identifying the labels and reframe them. A lot of times, characteristics of a person is the label that is given for the behaviors. Somebody usually gets up pretty late in the morning. Somebody is pretty not very diligent. Somebody is pretty late in submitting the assignments and so on. That person is labeled as lazy. Unfortunately, the labels have a way of sticking to the person because a person also starts believing she is lazy. The behavior is a lazy behavior. The person has the power to change the behavior and get a different label later on. But unfortunately, when we label the person, we also ensure that the person does not deviate from that label. The labeling have an unfortunate consequence of ensuring that the person sticks to the label, even though we may want and put the label only to show the person that, hey, buddy, you are lazy, hey, buddy, you are not thinking through, and therefore we are calling you as an idiot, and so on and so forth. But the labeling has an unfortunate consequence of doing exactly the opposite of why the label is being given in the first place. So avoid label, reframe the labels. When you see somebody being lazy, call out the actions as lazy behavior. Say that, I see this behavior, it's a very lazy behavior. You are better than that. Then the person has the chance, an opportunity to overcome the behavior and go elsewhere, overcome the behavior and go up and prove himself, prove herself. Similarly, when you label yourself, when you label your actions, don't ever label you yourself as a lazy person, idiotic person, this person, that person. Don't ever do that. Label your actions by all means, label your behavior by all means, but don't ever label yourself as a negative person because that is going to completely limit you. The last letter of the framework, SPEAKIT framework, is T, and T is all for tapping into your limitless potential. How do you do it? You do it simply by challenging the existing conventions, challenging your own existing beliefs, challenging what you think is the limitation that you possess. Let's take an Elon Musk. He challenged the conventional principles of how rockets operated. Except for government agencies, nobody else operated rockets, so nobody knew the economics of it. But it took Elon Musk to come along and ask questions on why are we wasting rockets? Why can't we reuse them? It looked like a completely foolish question when Musk asked that question. But look at what is happening now. Reusable rockets have become the norm of the day. He challenged the cost economics of sending the rockets. He challenged the conventional thought process of rockets are not usable. So he was challenging conventional principles all across in whatever he has done. Look at where that has taken Elon Musk. So the simple act of challenging conventional wisdom, simple act of challenging your beliefs, simple act of challenging whatever limiting belief that we have can help you tap into enormous untapped potential. So just to summarize what we have been looking at in this framework, the framework is called SPEAKIT Framework, and the letters stand for apply the framework and see how you are able to speak very, very powerfully. See you in our next episode. Like and subscribe to the channel for more tips like this. See you in our next episode.